Okay, for Mr. Horowitz, you reported your relationship, that the relationships created by the DEA with limited use confidential sources went beyond that of a person who provides tips, but rather the people were acting almost on behalf of or in partnership with DEA, giving them real-time information. In some cases, the DEA compensation was greater than they were getting in their regular job. What privacy concerns would DEA essentially treating these sources as independent contractors and asking them to perform specific tasks do you see?
Well, the most significant one is the potential Fourth Amendment issue and the privacy interests that are at stake, given what they are, having been categorized as limited use, they're supposed to be individuals who are simply on their own voluntarily tipping the DEA to information, when what we see here are multiple payments and even direction being given to those individuals on what information to provide, who to provide it on, et cetera, that it could easily be seen that they are in fact an arm of DEA and an agent of DEA, as opposed to a pure voluntary tipster, as what I think the limited use category was intended to be, at least as we understood it.
Yeah, we'll give you a more specific example. It appears the DEA had one confidential source working in the parcel industry, and they were opening up packages, and if they found cash, they were alerting DEA. Now, I assume if you were a DEA employee, you couldn't sit there and, without a warrant or something, just open up packages. Furthermore, and something that was kind of a little interesting in this specific instance, they'd call if they found cash, but they never happened to find drugs, which seemed a little bit suspicious. So I wanted your comment on that.
It's a serious concern precisely for the reason you indicated. I think there are two competing issues here, right? The public wants two things to be occurring. They don't want to see drugs or illegally transmitted currency being transmitted through these processes, but they also want to make sure that people are following the constitutional rules, laws, and procedures, and that everybody's privacy and expectations when they send a package through the mail aren't invaded simply in a rummage or search by someone who's looking for a cash reward with little control over them. And that's the problem that we saw here.
Do you think as a practical matter they're hiring people, or they're giving payments, sometimes payments more than a person's salary, to do something that would be unconstitutional if their own employees did it?
They're potentially incentivizing individuals to essentially act as their arm, raising that Fourth Amendment issue, as you indicated.
Okay, well, switch gears a little bit. Your September 2016 audit highlighted widespread issues with the DEA's tracking and oversight of payments. A lot of these issues have been going back, are similar to those that were happening in a report that was issued in 2005. So we've had an 11-year period here, and we're still finding the same issues. Could you comment on that?
Yeah, that was a concern to us, and obviously something that should have been long ago addressed. And it cascades into a whole series of issues. It limits, as Mr. Patterson said, the ability of management at headquarters to understand how their program is working and whether it's working well. It prevents or affects the ability of the DEA and the agents to provide accurate and full information to prosecutors so they can fulfill their constitutional responsibilities if they're prosecuting somebody. It limits the ability of the public, and through reports to Congress and the work that we do, to understand whether its money is being used wisely and consistent with the parameters of what is permissible and not permissible.
Okay, well, that's Mr. Peterson, kind of going off the same line of questioning. What your comments are that we seem to have the same problems in 2016 as were identified 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
That's correct, sir. So we have a computerized database that is about 5 years old that did not exist back in 2005. It resides at headquarters. During their review, and frankly during our current reviews, we're seeing that not all information is filled in. We now have a headquarters review by individuals that work in operations management to ensure all those fields are, in fact, filled in. It seems like a relatively simple thing. Again, it needs to be done better, and we need to ensure that it's happening.
Thank you much. I see my time has expired.
Thank the gentleman. Now go to the